Okay, got it. Well, you're welcome to sit for the first couple minutes here, and then we'll have our national anthem. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to St. John's College here in Annapolis, Maryland, for the inauguration of Nora Diemleitner as the institution's 25th president. Before we start, please take a moment to silence or turn off your cell phones. That's the worst thing of the day. My name is Gary Jobson, and I serve on the board of the Friends of St. John's College, and I'm honored to be here today. And I'm pleased that we're joined by the St. John's College Board of Visitors and Governors, as well as our students, alumni, faculty, administration, staff, friends of the college, and delegates from other esteemed academic institutions. And we're grateful to have the St. John's College family from both campuses all together here today. A warm welcome also to Mayor Gavin Buckley, Mr. Mayor, and members of the Maryland General Assembly, Anne Arundel County Council, and the City of Annapolis Council. Thank you for celebrating with us this afternoon. A little brief programming note, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller was scheduled to be with us here this afternoon, but she sends her regrets. She's attending a funeral up in Baltimore today. But we look forward to having her back on the campus sometime in the near future. Having said that, I'd like to thank Senator Elfreth for stepping in to provide some remarks in her stead. Senator, welcome. I would also like to add a special thanks to St. John's College alumnus James Saranovich for his beautiful performance of works by Bach and Mozart, both of whom are included as part of the program of study here at the college. And next time I'll know that you had one more stanza to go. Bravo. Well done, James. The inauguration of a new leader is an official act and an important tradition that honors the service of those who choose to light the way for a whole community. Nora Diemleitner has been engaged in this duty on campus for over a year now and is fully established as the head of this institution. St. John's sits on this beautiful 36-acre campus in downtown Annapolis, and for those of you that might be new to the campus, it was founded as the King William School in 1696, and believe it or not, it's the third oldest college in the United States. Only Harvard and William and Mary are older than St. John's. The college offers a curriculum based on the study of ideas within the great books. And look at the list of great books and see how many of those books have you read over the years? I looked at the list, I was surprised. Wow, I actually read several of them. Pretty cool. Early in her term, I asked President Diemleitner about the challenges facing liberal arts colleges, and she told me, quote, "I would challenge people to think about today's world and the career trajectory of people. We can proudly say we teach logical thinking, we teach writing, and we teach people to speak well. At any job, this is what employers are looking for," unquote. I was also happy to learn that one of her priorities is to more closely connect St. John's College with our community in Annapolis and the state of Maryland. On behalf of everyone in our community, we look forward to working with you and visiting the campus for the art museum, lectures, concerts, other events. Personally, I really like the bookstore. Visit it, it's a good one. President Diemleitner grew up in Germany and first came to the United States to study at Bates College. She received a degree in law at Yale University and a master's degree from Georgetown in international and comparative law. Nora, you must really like going to school. A liberal arts education awakens learning, transformation, and personal conviction. And Nora tells me that it was in part her own academic experience and later success in the law, higher education administration, and beyond, which aroused a deep drive to lead and to, as she puts it, do well by doing good. We are now blessed to see that spirit and vitality take root here at St. John's College, and we're lucky to welcome her as our next president. Today, we're going to hear from members of our St. John's College community, leaders of government and academia, and of course, we'll learn directly from President Diemleitner about her vision for St. John's College. So now we're honored to welcome our friends and neighbors from the United States Naval Academy Color Guard. And they are going to be joined by mezzo-soprano and St. John's College class of 2023, senior Allegra Hall, who will sing the Star Spangled Banner, accompanied by James Saranovich. Okay, Color Guard, let's please rise. Now, passing before you now is the Color Guard with Midshipman 3rd Class Joshua Glynn carrying our national ensign. Midshipman 4th Class Sigwe Stevens carrying the Brigade of Midshipmen flag. 3rd Class Liam Wirt with the battle colors of the United States Marine Corps. And Midshipman 2nd Class Long Wong with the battle colors of the United States Navy. The riflemen are Midshipman 3rd Class Alex Sanchez and Midshipman 3rd Class Caitlin Stout.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well done, Allegra. Well, I'd like to thank the U.S. Naval Academy Color Guard and Allegra Hall. Allegra, beautiful. And James, you too. Thank you very much. Everybody can please be seated. Now I'd like to welcome Santa Fe Campus President Mark Roosevelt. Earning undergraduate and law degrees from Harvard University, Roosevelt was elected to the Massachusetts State Legislature in 1984, where he served for a full decade, embracing what would become a lifelong commitment to equity and education. He was later superintendent of Pittsburgh Public Schools, and in 2011 engineered the re-envisioning of Antioch College, the liberal arts school in Ohio, before his appointment to St. John's College in 2016. Welcome, President Roosevelt.
So what do you guess my main function is here? These are all speakers. I have to set the standard. It's 2 minutes. That's not funny. I mean, this is very important. So, Nora, I will be extremely brief. The education world, higher education, the circumstances under which St. John's exists have changed dramatically. They're not going back. The challenges we face are with us for a very long time. These challenges require very different leadership. These challenges actually require more leadership. So, Nora, we welcome your fresh eyes, your insight, and our expectations are simple. We believe that you have both the courage and the strategic capacity to look at the conditions that we work under squarely. And we believe that you have the skill to bring the community together around the required actions we're going to have to take so that St. John's will prosper going forward. And we're very glad you were with us. And I'm not turning around to look at you again. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Maryland State Senator Sarah Elfreth. Sarah was elected in 2018 to represent Annapolis in southern Anne Arundel County. She is the youngest woman ever elected to the Maryland Senate. Not that it's at all important to us, but she serves on the Budget Committee. I'm not done yet. And as a member of that Budget Committee, Sarah fights to secure millions in funding every year to support local projects and nonprofit organizations, including St. John's College. She's also a teacher. She teaches political science and public policy at Towson's University Honors College. So please join me in welcoming Senator Sarah Elfreth.
Thank you so much, President Roosevelt, for that wonderful introduction. I am filling in for the Lieutenant Governor, Runa Miller, who wishes she could be here. I promise to be brief, though I am a senator, so I do have the ability and power to filibuster. I will not today. I wanted to just bring wishes and just speak a little bit about why I'm so excited for the exciting moment St. John's has right now, from three perspectives. First, Nora and I have broken glass ceilings. She, as you know, is the first woman to man the helm of this institution. I was the first woman elected to the Senate seat, and I was thinking on my walk here, I live just downtown, so I'm a neighbor, back to when Maryland first became a state. I have the privilege of serving in Charles Carroll's Senate seat. And when he was a state senator, I can imagine him needing to escape the state house, and I imagine him walking across the street and conversing with your predecessor all those years ago. And it's so exciting that Nora and I together get to be the first women to represent these institutions at this moment in time. My second experience that I think is relevant to just telling you why I'm excited is I am formally a member of the Board of Regents for the University System of Maryland. And as everybody here knows who served on boards of Regents lay governing boards, the most important responsibility you have is to I'm a senator, I have elections on the mind, is to make sure that you are appointing presidents who you know can meet the moment. And I just want to take a moment and thank the board for ensuring that you have that leader in Nora. It's a huge responsibility, especially as we're seeing higher education evolve and innovate, come out of COVID, come out of the recession, that we need to make sure that we have the leaders in place, and you have that in this leader. And third, as was mentioned, I do serve on the Budget Committee. Maryland is the only state that invests in private higher education institutions, the only state, not just in their operating budget with the Selinger formula, which brings scholarship funding for Maryland students who attend St. John's, millions of dollars in that, but also in capital funding. And we're actually sitting in the fruits of that capital funding right now. We brought $5 million home to St. John's for the rebuilding of Mellon Hall. And that's those decisions and beating back any criticism of why Maryland invests in private colleges and universities is easy when you have leaders like Nora, who make sure that it's not an ivory tower, who make sure that it's not, that St. John's doesn't just end on the streets of the campus. She makes sure that this is a space for our community, a leader in liberal arts education in the nation. And that's what makes it easy to defend that funding and make sure that we continue as a state to invest in places like St. John's. So thank you, Nora, for making my job very easy to continue to make those investments. And thank you all for being here. Congratulations, Nora.
It's here somewhere. My next words are good. Thank you, Senator. Now I'll introduce our next speaker. You've likely seen him riding around town on his bicycle, and he's off meeting with local business owners and educators and residents. And as said at St. John's, we know him as a trusted community partner. He was actually born in South Africa, raised in Australia, And then Mayor Gavin Buckley emigrated to the United States in 1992 with a reported $200 in his pocket. Is that true? Okay. And that was war in 1992, right? Settled in Annapolis, we started a family and several successful local businesses. Elected mayor of Annapolis in November 2017, Gavin brings together business owners, community leaders, and residents all working together to develop innovative ideas and economic opportunities. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Gavin Buckley.
Well, it is an honor to be here. I always feel a lot smarter even when I step on the campus of St. John's. I look at a lot of smart people here, and I do feel like a bit of an imposter in this robe, this academic robe, because I was kicked out of 2 high schools and didn't really graduate from anything. But I've always loved this college since I sailed into town, and I will give me a bit of license here. One of your most famous alumni, Jack Holtzman, when he failed to pick up Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan went to Columbia Records, I have to quote a Bob Dylan line here. The times, they are a-changing. We have our first African-American governor in Maryland, the only African-American governor in the country. Our first female comptroller, our first lieutenant governor of Southeast Asian descent, an immigrant as well. And there are rumors that there could be the first female superintendent of the Naval Academy. That's just a rumor, but I just hope that she's not good at croquet, sorry. I love this place, and I want to make sure that people know about this school, and that you know that the city of Annapolis is here to be your partner. Ever since I came into office, I wanted to start a Hug a Johnny program or something that could bring this school into the city and make it part of the whole fabric of Annapolis, because this school is about change. The people that graduate from this school go on to change the world. There are so many thought leaders that have come out of this college and made a difference, not only in America, but globally. So I'm here to be a partner for this city. I will pull one more historic quote in from another famous immigrant that came to this town for the Annapolis Convention. And this is really a bit of license here for Hamilton, my kid's favorite musical. But Laura's here, and we're here because immigrants get the job done. I'm happy to be an immigrant partner with Nora here and make sure we get the job done here in Annapolis. And thank you, everybody, for letting me be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, words, Gavin. Gavin, you definitely have a master's degree in being a great mayor. Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from St. John's College Dean Joe McFarland, a graduate himself of the Annapolis campus before receiving his doctorate from the Committee on Social Thought at the University of Chicago. Dean McFarland was a Fulbright Scholar in Bologna, Italy. He's been teaching at St. John's since 1998 and was appointed dean in 2016, overseeing the program of instruction in Annapolis. Dean Joe McFarland.
In the politics, Aristotle, yeah. Don't worry, it's not a Friday night lecture. In the politics, Aristotle suggests the best city is the one that exists in isolation, one which to an external viewer appears to do nothing. It's not the city that conquers and dominates others that is most beautiful, for there's nothing inherently noble about domination of the weak. Actions of the greatest nobility are pursued internally among free and equal persons. The action of the craftsman is clearly visible as he shapes external things. But the craftsman who directs other craftsmen, the architect, is the most active of all simply by thinking. Like the architect in thought, the best city appears to do little while doing the most. Yet a city is inevitably situated among other cities, subject to the rise and fall of markets and empires, the vicissitudes of nature, and the trends of technology. I mean all this, of course, as an analogy to St. John's. The last years of the college have been turbulent: sustained austerity, a successful capital campaign, cultural turmoil, pandemic. Many have had a hand in keeping the college buoyant, and we owe many debts of gratitude. But I would say that the essential source of our vitality through all the disruptions has been the way that we as a community have inerrantly focused on our noble activity and telos: reading, inquiring, conversing, listening, thinking. This activity that we carry on each day, each year, for decades, and forever, if we could. This activity that students come to love, enjoy, respect, and benefit from. This continuous activity is our living treasure. St. John stands apart for its program, but it does not and cannot stand in isolation. A happy sign of this are the many very welcome representatives from peer colleges here today and from the Annapolis community. And of course, St. John's was founded on the notion that it stands for something essential about liberal education everywhere, something for all to see. Moreover, it would be unwise to suppose that turbulence is at an end, that we will not continue to be in need of friends. Keeping this in mind, a president has to artfully navigate the foreign policy, so to speak, of the college, as she has to steer its internal activities well, while remaining true to and grounded in its most prized internal activity, our learning. Nora Dameleitner is especially well suited to this task, and I'll make a few separate observations to this end. I have come to admire her restless energy and her resilience. It's harrowing work to be stretched between our high aspirations and the stark realities of safeguarding them. From her years as an educator, she brings a deep-seated care of students and a knowledge of the challenges therein, evident in the changes already effected to improve the conditions of residential life and the accessibility of services. And when new to the college, she saw almost immediately that our study of many subjects is subordinated to a singular intellectual formation, a freedom of thinking that all these studies lead to. And finally, in working with her, I've come to admire her genuineness. She is who she appears to be. Her mind is always at work, and she shares her thinking freely, occasionally preferring to say the wrong thing rather than holding a thought hidden, and without being dismayed if she hears herself contradicted. These are conversational virtues in the classroom, and they're the foundation of the trust that has taken hold in campus leadership over the last year. The qualities through which she watches out for the college are the ones essential to our learning, and this happy consonance augurs well for our polity. Thank you, Nora, for coming to join us.
Our next speaker serves enthusiastically on the St. John's College staff. She's a graduate of St. Bonaventure University, where she received her bachelor's and master's in English. She also has a second master's degree in library and information science from Dominican University. Kate Tachek-Sweeney has supported the campus community since 2020 as the college's Director of Development and now as Director of Foundations. She's also the Government Affairs Lead for St. John's College. Appointed President of the Staff Council by her peers, Kate is a community leader, team leader, and creative problem solver on campus. Welcome, Kate Tachek-Sweeney. Kate? Welcome.
I'm honored to represent the staff of St. John's College on this remarkable day. President Dean Leitner, congratulations on your historic appointment and everything that you've accomplished during your first year. I know I speak for all the staff of the college when I say we are ready and eager to support you and the college as we move forward into this next phase of our history. While the roles of tutor and student are well defined by the college polity and the cyclical cadence of the school year, staff positions are wide-ranging and in many ways ever-changing, serving unique and crucial roles that scaffold the academic program. The St. John staff are here for you, Nora, as they've been here for the college all along. Some for more than 4 decades. At least 8 of our colleagues on this campus alone have worked here for more than 30 years. During that time, staff have adapted to new needs, new expectations, and risen to new challenges. We pay bills, distribute scholarships, keep sidewalks clear, ensure campus buildings are clean, furnished, safe, and welcoming. We make sure meals are hot and ready, mail is distributed, web pages are up to date and accurate. We provide health care, schedule intramural games, answer reference questions, stock and shelf books, set and meet ambitious fundraising goals. We schedule classes, book meeting rooms, connect laptops to Wi-Fi and printers. We keep alumni engaged. We manage internship placements. We meet with high schoolers all over the world, giving them the opportunity to think of St. John's when they consider all that the future might hold. We even plan presidential inaugurations. We have done all this as best practices, evolving technology, and unknown circumstances demand that we learn, adapt, and change. So again, I speak for the staff when I say, Nora, we are here for you and for the perspective and change that you bring. We look forward to continuing to share our knowledge, experience, and appreciation of this place, this program, and these students. President Dean Leitner, congratulations, and welcome to St. John's.
Thank you, Kate. Boy, that's a long list. You're busy. Earlier, Kate mentioned to me that she was excited to follow Dean McFarland today because of how delighted she was with the reading recommendation he made to her earlier this year, The Brothers Karamazov, which I understand the senior class is reading now. Daunting subject matter? Yep. But in it, Dostoevsky teaches that the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. In other words, the purpose of life is a life of purpose. Thank you, Kate, for celebrating the work of all those who staff this campus community each day and face challenges great and small with grace and indeed purpose. Next, I'd like to introduce a very impressive student. Lurian Spolari was born in the Dominican Republic and raised in Italy before moving to the United States during our high school years. A writer for the Johnny's Chair blog, Archon of the Waltz Committee, and Admissions Campus Corps Guide, among other accomplishments, Lurian credits St. John's with sparking her curiosity and igniting a passion for learning. Let's welcome Lurian.
Hello, everyone. Buon pomeriggio and buenas tardes. As an undergraduate student, I am so grateful for St. John's, the distinctive education that it has given me, and for the precious months that I have left to enjoy my time here learning on this beautiful campus. My St. John's experience has been an education that values communications, a melting pot of ideologies, and also the love of wisdom. Some may call it philosophia for that exact reason. Thanks to it, I have learned how to learn from my peers. And because of that, I find myself more self-aware. Our curriculum and reading have granted me the opportunity to be more self-reflective and also to be more lenient as I listen to the idea and ideas that I might not agree with. However, I did not always feel this way. When I started as a student, I felt like there were not many others here that looked like me. Italian, Latina, first in my family to graduate college this spring, and the eldest daughter of an immigrant family. And I had questions as, what is it courage to at St. John's? I wondered whether this was going to change as time went by. And I worried that it wouldn't, that I would feel alone. Soon enough, our polity would prove me wrong. With the establishment of the Pritzker program, I saw more and more students of color, more people who either looked like me or had an enriched cultural background and upbringing like mine. I had an opportunity to mentor some of these students, and I never felt prouder to be a part of that change. I realized that St. John's was up to the challenge to, as President Diemleitner says, to meet the moment, by encouraging more diversity while still maintaining the core principles of this education. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Diemleitner as she was walking onto the college grounds for the first time. And I realized that she and I shared a lot of things in common. We had both grown up overseas, she in Germany and I in Italy. We both share a passion for learning, and well, we are obviously both women. When she was appointed president of the Annapolis campus, it was very reassuring. It showed me and students like me that a community like St. John's can accept progress and lead it too, even if gradual and slow. It means that there is hope, that our world will keep on becoming a better place for everyone living in it. I am beyond grateful to see Nora leading this kind of change as our new college president. And as a student, I am able to know that that is what I'm a part of. Thank you. Congratulations, Nora.
Thank you, Lyrian. Our next speaker is in his second year at the St. John's Graduate Institute, where he's the president of the Graduate Student Council. He is also a research associate at the American Enterprise Institute and a contributing editor for the online magazine American Purpose. Please welcome Luis Perales. Luis.
Good afternoon. President Diemleitner, on behalf of the Graduate Student Council and the Graduate Institute student body, I want to congratulate you on your inauguration as the 25th president of St. John's College here in Annapolis. As I was thinking about where to focus my brief remarks this afternoon, I kept going back to why many of my classmates and I ended up at the Graduate Institute in the first place. Some of us have spouses and little ones to care for after seminars. Some of us balance preceptorials with paper deadlines for full-time jobs. Yet all of us came to the Graduate Institute because we found in St. John's a committed educational vision grounded in the great books. And importantly, it's a space where we can more fully understand ourselves through our shared reflections with these delightful, confusing, but ultimately really wonderful texts. And upon further reflection, I considered how my classmates and I learned about the Graduate Institute thanks to the work of the many individuals and initiatives here. A graduate education often means narrower and narrower specialization, but that's not the case at St. John's. I'm grateful for the commitment that the college has made to a comprehensive liberal education for adults and working professionals, because without it, I wouldn't have encountered Sophocles or Dostoevsky or Tocqueville in nearly as fulfilling an environment. So, President Diemleitner, I've been so heartened by the interest that you've already taken in the Graduate Institute community, through informal conversations, through visiting our convening weekends, and last but not least, through following me on Twitter. But in all seriousness, as you advance the mission of the college, I have confidence that first, you will continue looking for ways to deepen liberal education for adults and furthering your conversations with those typically outside the world of the college. And second, that in this new chapter, you will always find us, the students of the Graduate Institute, as resources for collaboration, as advocates, and as friends. St. John's is a precious institution, and its flourishing depends on the dedication and passion of her leaders. and I'm so grateful to have you at the helm. Congratulations on your inauguration. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Luis. Now we welcome alumnus Josephine Gigi Escalante, a graduate of the class of 1992. Gigi is the president of the St. John's College Alumni Association. Earning her law degree from Northeastern University, her practice focus included employment and intellectual property law in Washington, D.C. She's also married to a Johnny. It's good school spirit. Anyway, Gigi, welcome. Looks like you have fun with that.
Yes. Oh my goodness gracious, I think the last time I was up on this stage was when I was signing the convocation book. Read. Read all the time. Read as a matter of principle, as a matter of self-respect. Read as a nourishing staple of life. This David McCullough quote is one that President Dean Leitner loves. Well, according to a tweet that she sent out last year. Yes, I was doing some internet research in preparation for today. And if anyone has any doubts about the president's fit for our unique institution, her love for this quote on reading should dispel them. Because newsflash, we love books at the Great Book School. There's no great occasion, inaugurations included, when a Johnny does not quote a program author. I guess Aristotle, politics is a popular one these days, in order to center ourselves through words on a page. But I won't be turning to our program authors today. I'm going straight to the heart of our institution, our founding documents. This is a significant moment in our college's history, our first woman president. And we mark significant moments in the present by turning back to our past. Our 325-year-old institution exists in a world that paradoxically is increasingly interconnected as it seems fractionalized. What is the charge of leadership in this terrain? There is comfort and insight, as there is in seminar, with going back to the text. Our college polity states that institutions of learning should, quote, develop the moral and intellectual powers of their students to enable them to take their own responsible part in shaping the future. I am so heartened that at this unique moment, President Dean Leitner has joined this charge to enable a generation of Johnnies to take a necessary part in shaping the future, where the finest Johnny attributes of critical introspection and circumspection is much needed. Buried in our archives is a 1962 book, Portrait of Graduates, including essays from alumni discussing St. John's. As president of the Alumni Association, I want to highlight a timely passage from this book of alumni. In it, Aaron Bisberg, class of 1949, states that Johnnies bring, quote, both a searching and sympathetic viewpoint to the world. By Bisberg's description, President Dean Leitner is a Johnny and brings this spirit of questioning that is the bedrock of understanding. As an educator with over a quarter century of leadership, I've witnessed and been privileged to witness both their intellect, care, and measured judgment to work to benefit St. John's, and particularly its students, focusing on their welfare and success. On behalf of the Alumni Association, we extend our best wishes as President Dean Leitner takes her place in the history of our college, leading with a searching and sympathetic viewpoint to the world and St. John's role in it.
Thank you, Gigi. Well done. Well, now we're going to hear a little bit more music from James Saranovich. As I mentioned, James is also an alumnus. and told me earlier that after wanting to attend St. John's since he was 19 years old, he finally enrolled at St. John's at 44, and he graduated with the class of 2022. Well done, James. In a diverse 3-decade musical career, James has worked as a clarinetist, pianist, organist, tenor, vocal coach, lecturer, writer, and teacher. He's been a conductor since the age of 22, and he served as an assistant conductor with the Fairfax Symphony and as a pianist and vocal coach with the Virginia Opera. He's been involved with over 50 operatic productions in the DC and New York metropolitan areas and served as music director of the Church of St. Thomas More in New York City. Now, before the pandemic, James organized and conducted concerts with hundreds of orchestral musicians to raise money for instruments, lessons, tutoring, and meals for disadvantaged inner-city youth in Baltimore and New Orleans. Assisting James with page turning this afternoon is current St. John Senior and music assistant Isabel Kordowski. Now, to tell you a little bit more about his piece, let me invite James up. James? There you are.
Thank you, Gary. Brevity is not my strong suit. My senior essay clocked in at 122 pages, but I will do my best. In the early 1890s, 2 sisters were born 2 years apart in Paris, in Montmartre, Nadia and Lily Boulanger. And their father was 75 and 77 years old when they were born. Their exiled Russian princess mother, who had the breeding but no longer the money, married her conservatory voice teacher. And that's what happened there. The two sisters had remarkable musical gifts from an early age. Nadia Boulanger lived into her 90s, passed away in 1979. Lily died in 1924 at a very 1918, in 1918 at the age of 24. And before that, I should say, Nadia competed for the Prix de Rome, the greatest compositional prize in France, in Europe really, that enabled one to go study in Italy for a year at an artist's colony, with everything paid for. Nadia applied for that 4 times as a composer and was rejected. And she said, well, they've never given it to a woman. It's misogyny, pure and simple. Lily applied for it when she was 20 years old and won it like that. And so Nadia had to live with that. And a smaller person, a lesser person, might have been jealous or bitter. But instead, that's when Nadia said, well, now I'll play and conduct and teach and write. I'm not composing anymore. And she became devoted to her sister for the rest of her short life. And every year on Lily's birthday and on the anniversary of her death, Nadia lit candles, prayed for her soul, played through all her piano music, which takes about a half hour for all assembled students. And so these 2 extraordinary sisters made wonderful music. There is a St. John's connection in that, among Nadia's famous students, Quincy Jones, Leonard Bernstein, Samuel Barber, Aaron Copland. Among her famous students was the longtime tutor Douglas Allenbrook. And I got to study with some of Mademoiselle's students, and they said that she loved Mr. Allenbrook and wished he'd written more, and she considered him really in the top rank of her students. So we were very, very lucky to have him here. One more thing. The 3 short pieces in an old garden, in a clear or a moonlit garden, and cortege. And when we were going back and forth via email about this, I said, look, I'll play the two garden pieces. They're exquisite, but I don't want to play the cortege because people will think the president is unwell. And look at her, she's the picture of health. So 1 or 2 days went by and the email came back. The president doesn't care what it's called. It's a great work. Play all three. So yes, that's what we'll do. In conclusion, I'll say, in describing her late sister, Nadia Boulanger said she was fiery, she was earthy, she was a people person, she was someone with a quietly commanding presence that drew people to her, and she was a very warm and fiery, intelligent woman. And I think those are qualities that could be used to describe our new president. And so, Nora, it's an honor to play for our first female president the music of a kindred spirit of yours, I dare say, and the first woman to win the great Prix de Rome. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, James, for that beautiful performance on St. John's very own Bosendorfer piano. Quick story about this piano. It was built in Vienna and acquired by the college in the 1960s to honor the memory of Jewish Austrian musicologist and St. John's tutor, Victor Zukander. During his teaching career in Annapolis, Zukander penned Sound and Symbol, a text which explores music as a mystical aspect of human existence and a universal phenomena. St. John's music librarian Eric Stolfus tells me that Zukandel's writings are still enjoyed by Johnnies today. And like the tutor for whom it's dedicated, there's something very unique about this piano too. Instead of the traditional 88 keys, it has 92 keys. So if you heard a few notes that were lower than you expected, that was James using the full range of the instrument and really going to work on those 4 extra keys at the bass end of the action. Now I'm pleased to introduce special guest to St. John's College and a friend and colleague of President Dean Leitner, Millersville University President, Dr. Daniel Wuba. Dr. Wuba began his academic service at Millersville in 2018. Prior to that, he served as provost and later the senior advisor to the president at Washington and Lee University. That's where he met Nora when she was the dean of the law school at the time. Dr. Wuba is also trained as a microbiologist and the tribal king of Brennan Askuma in the central region of Ghana. Dr. Wuba, welcome to St. John's College.
Thank you very much. Good job. Got it right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, that was a beautiful rendition. Really enjoyed, the music. Members of the board, Senator Alfred, Mayor Buckley, administrators, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends, and special guests. It is an honor and privilege to speak to you today and offer a brief glimpse into the personal and professional characteristics of my dear and former colleague and friend, Miss Nora Dimleitner. Nora, I can't tell you how proud I am of you today. I remember the times that we chatted about both of us getting to this level. And it was a dream, but we know how we had to work for it, and I'm so glad that it came through. The role of a president at an institution of higher learning, whether it is large or small, public or private, is multifaceted, fluid, and demanding. On any given day, a president has to address the needs of students, wishes of alumni, requirements of accreditors and government regulators, desires of donors, and the list goes on and on and on. Those who are most successful in this role can chart a path forward while navigating the often competing demands of the diverse stakeholder groups. It takes an extraordinary commitment and an unmovable set of core values to lead an institution, especially one like St. John's College, which is unique in so many ways. I believe St. John's College has found just the right person in President Dean Leitner. Let me take you back a decade or so ago. I came to know Nora when we were colleagues at Washington and Lee University. Nora was at the end of her first year as the dean of the law school at WNL when I started as a provost. She was one of my 7 direct reports, and we had a very good rapport right from day one, because we had several core values in common. Among them was empathy and resilience. And as you can hear from today's theme, there's a lot of global perspectives here. The mayor is from South Africa, grew up in Australia. Nora is originally from Germany. I was born in Ghana. So you know where things are. These two traits, empathy and resilience, are particularly important for a college president to succeed, and I'll return to them shortly. But one characteristic that distinguished Nora from my other direct reports at WNL was her mental acuity and ability to diplomatically bring people together to solve what initially appears to be an intractable problem. Let me give you an example. There was a project that we needed to undertake at WNL. As you know, it's also another historic institution. And the project was just to add photographs of distinguished women and minority alumni to the walls of the law school. Because when you walk to the law school, all the pictures there were of white men. In 2013, none of the large-size photos on the walls of the law school was of a minority or a woman. Nora initiated a conversation with her colleagues to develop criteria for putting up new photos. This required a lot of tact and diplomacy because of the prevailing culture at that time. Ultimately, new photos were added to express the diversity of distinguished alumni, including a former president of the American Bar Association, who is an African American. His picture wasn't there. She was tenacious but tactful in how she addressed this issue to get the desired outcomes. This characteristics, or example that I just gave you, underscores 4 positive attributes that Nora possesses and stand out to me as her secrets to success. Namely, her intelligence, her compassion, her global perspective, and finally, her resilience. In addition to being widely read, she is deeply knowledgeable about other disciplines beyond her legal field. Within the legal profession, some of her work has focused on inequities in sentencing of people from marginalized groups because of her compassionate approach to interacting with others. This attribute is necessary to be a successful president because being able to step in other people's shoes is necessary for an astute leadership. Having an international background is one of Nora's strengths because it gives her a broader perspective in understanding the human condition and deeper appreciation for creating an inclusive community. Being a good president requires stamina to combine a sprint and a marathon in decision-making, relationship building, and implementation of strategies, which demand flexibility and tenacity. And I'm very glad to say that Nora has those characteristics. Despite the professional challenges that Nora faced at WNL, she was able to rise above the storm professionally to reach this presidency, and I'm so proud of her for that. These 4 attributes will serve her well as the president of St. John's. Much has been written about the state of higher education in America today. Many say that we sit at an important moment as we face enrollment challenges and financial uncertainties and renewed questions of the value of earning a degree. While I remain confident that our institutions will navigate these turbulent times, I am equally confident that it will take extraordinary leaders like my friend Nora to give their institutions the opportunity to thrive. The presidency is both an art and a science that requires enjoying what you do by building a good base of support. I know that Nora will never lose sight of what we have to do and for whom she's doing it by continuing to make a positive difference in the lives of students, faculty, and staff at St. John's. As presidents, we remain keenly aware that the needs of our students are always the focus of what we do. And to Nora, I can say nothing but best wishes, my friend, for a long and successful career at the helm of this wonderful and historic institution. Congratulations, Nora.
Thank you, Dr. Awuba. I've enjoyed your passion. Thank you very much. Next is Professor Ronald White. Wright is a Goli Professor of Criminal Law at Wake Forest University. He teaches and writes about the institution of criminal courts, including judges, juries, sentencing commissions, public defenders, and prosecutors. He works as a research partner advisor for advocacy and professional support groups interested in access to data and the effects of politics in criminal justice. We were hearing a lot about that these days. Professor Wright.
Good afternoon, everyone. I join you today joyful to see the start of new things at a great and storied institution of higher learning. Why am I joyful with all the tumult and stress bouncing around in higher education? I'm joyful today because I know Nora Diemleitner and I know what she can bring to this place. Nora and I have been co-authors on books and collaborators in course design for over 20 years. Working with Nora has made me a better teacher and a better scholar. Two reasons come to mind. First, Nora looks ahead, further ahead than me, maybe than lots of us. She tries to understand where large social forces are going to take us over the long run, and then devotes her energy there, way out there. In the 1990s, when we first started writing a book together, Nora was not so interested in the yearly lineup of cases that issued from the US Supreme Court. The High Court's docket, with its emphasis on police interrogation practices and police searches of closed containers in car trunks, that docket dominated the agenda of most criminal law scholars in those days, but Nora looked elsewhere. She knew what was happening out in the field with plea bargains, with felony filing rates, with mandatory minimum sentences, and with other profound transformations in the courts. As a result, Nora was focused more than most scholars on the work of sentencing commissions and other legal actors who were already at that time reshaping our use, and I believe our overuse, of prison. Nora was even then interested in that new field of inquiry and it was years before others came to appreciate the human tragedy that we now call mass incarceration. Second, Nora looks far afield for evidence and for ideas, not just the ideas convenient, close at hand. Maybe because of her own multicultural life experiences, she tunes into trends and concepts from outside our local boundaries. While most legal scholars treat comparative law as a subspecialty, as something for the comparativists to do, Nora treats that worldwide experience as everyone's business, a resource for all of us right here. For instance, she insists that we can learn from the experience of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda when it comes to sentencing questions. That international court developed criteria for the imposition of legitimate sentences in cases that present the most extreme and horrifying of circumstances, the conviction of a head of state for genocide. Or take a second example. The courts in Canada, Nora noticed, offered early insights about how judges should account for the experiences of Aboriginal defendants, especially women, when setting prison sentences. Nora's alert monitoring helped scholars and students see possible new answers, Canadian answers, to questions that sentencing courts in the US struggle even to ask. Nora sees these things, she shows them to me. That expands my ability to shift perspectives, to get outside our domestic and domesticated frameworks that make up our world. She's inspired me to be a more wide-ranging scholar. I believe that ability of hers will also work its expansive magic here at St. John's College. And so it is with joy that I step back and watch to see what you, all of you in the community of St. John's College, will do alongside Nora Dimleitner as you work together for your students and for our world. Thank you, and congratulations, Nora.
Well, thank you, Professor Wright. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn it over to the chairman of the Board of Visitors and Governors, Ron Fielding, a graduate of the Annapolis class of 1970 and career financial strategist. Ron has served on numerous corporate and nonprofit boards over 5 decades. He joined the board here in 1995 and was appointed chairman in 2016. And I should note that we're grateful for his generosity, and we're honored this week to unveil the newly dedicated Fielding Roomer Hall, named for Ron and his wife, Susan, also a fellow Johnny. So thank you very much for that. Welcome, Ron.
Well, one of the joys, there's a lot of disadvantages to being at the tail of all these speakers today, but one of the joys of it is that I can say I've got pages and pages of notes, but I don't need to use them anymore because it's all been said already. But there's 2 things I have learned about Nora in my briefer time than most of these previous speakers. First, she has a genuine passion for student success. And God knows we need that at this time. There's been a trend very much accentuated by the pandemic of students arriving here with an increased number of financial, academic, mental health, and emotional career needs. I think she is an activist in dealing with these problems, and I think she knows that the higher education environment is changing at a very rapid pace. But I also know that President Dimleitner knows that complacency will not be rewarded in this changing world. We've got to change in order to maintain the things that we value most highly. She has already been an outstanding spokesperson for the college, whether it's the city of Annapolis or the state of Maryland, or at various campuses of United World Colleges, a partner feeder school for us from around the world. I thank you, Nora, for spreading the news of St. John's, growing our fold and widening our tent. This time, it is my pleasure to present you with the presidential insignia of St. John's College, pictured here. This insignia, which takes the form of a chain to be draped around the president's shoulders, includes symbols from the college's distinctive character and history. On the chain itself, it's composed of books. What could be more central to our program than the great books? And at the end of the chain is the medallion featuring the seal of the college. There are 7 books in a circle in the medallion. They stand for the trivium and the quadrivium, the ancient liberal arts of grammar, rhetoric, and logic for the trivium, and arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy for the quadrivium. On the outer ring is a Latin insignia that says Facio Liberos, ex liberis, liberis labracre. It translates that I make free adults out of children through means of books and a balance. The balance at the center is obviously the symbol of modern science, known these days as STEM. So I take great delight in presenting this medallion to you. So I can open the chain here. I don't know, I may have to go over your head. No, oh, here we go. Let me put it on. Oop. Never was very good with this jewelry with all these different... Nora, may you wear this insignia with honor and purpose, recognizing the faith this community has in you and paying tribute to the incredible legacy of St. John's College that will continue under your leadership, we are sure. And thus, I now officially introduce Nora Demleitner as the 25th president of St. John's College. Congratulations. The podium is yours.
This is an incredible honor. Thank you all. I want to start out by thanking the St. John's Polity for your generosity in welcoming me into this distinctive community. I need to thank the Board of Visitors and Governors and all of today's speakers for their support throughout the last year, and in some cases, throughout many years of my life. I also want to thank the Annapolis community and the state of Maryland for their warm embrace. What unites us all is our student body. St. John's students are thoughtful in their questions and candid in their perspective on challenges and opportunities. Smart, probing, thoughtful, skeptical, a tad absent-minded, and a bit quirky, but also funny and incredibly personable. You'll never tire of the conversation or run out of questions if you find yourself in the company of a Johnny. There's a secret formula to this place. Not everyone is a fit here, but everyone who is here fits. Somehow, we've all managed to find our way here to each other on this Saturday afternoon. It feels meant to be, at least for me, and let me tell you why. For much of my career, St. John's College and I seem to have been stalking each other, fortunately in a perfectly legal and harmless way. It started in the early 1990s when I worked with a St. John's alumnus, Pedro Martinez Fraga, who thrived in the world of international law, perhaps because the field's themes and values reach back to Aristotle, Plato, and Cicero. He also seemed to generally question everything I said. I should have known he was a Johnny. Eventually, I learned to pick them out of a crowd. One of my law students, also a Johnny, always wanted to get to whether justice could be determined at all, even when I asked merely for an interpretation of the language of a rule. Now, she may have been the only student who ever read the rule. And I must say, Johnnies are classy, even when disagreeing. They've mastered the art of making strong counterpoints without being confrontational. Before you notice, they've changed your view, or at least refined it, provided more nuance. So I've been with Johnny's and their countless questions long before coming here. But with all these chance encounters in mind, let's turn to the intentional questions that got us here. 2 years ago, when the Board of Visitors and Governors asked me to the next president of St. John's College, I honored their question with serious thought and discussion, two mainstays of the institution. Every one of us had to answer life-changing questions over the years. We can all relate to that. For many of our students, their college choice may have been that major question. And each of us knows the feeling of anticipation that hangs over an important decision that must be made. Maybe you felt confident in your intended choice, or perhaps trepidation over what unknowns may unfold as a result. Sometimes it is both. Stringfellow Barr and Scott Buchanan must have felt that same mix of hope and uneasiness when they charted a new path for St. John's nearly 100 years ago. Their path to an education in the liberal arts, which included math and science, was through a radical pedagogy embedded in a new and non-elective curriculum that centered around a selection of great books. We often invoke Barr and Buchanan and the impact their decision has had on the college. But their story, our story, is also one of broader context. In the 1930s, our country was deep in the throes of the Great Depression. 1/4 of the workers in Maryland cities were unemployed. Bank failures had wiped out the life savings of millions of Americans. Fascism and Nazism had taken root in Europe. Asia was ripe with conflict, and global war was on the horizon. When Barr and Buchanan arrived in segregated Annapolis, just 249 young men were enrolled at St. John's College. And the institution they had been asked to lead had lost its accreditation and much of its money. Amidst worldwide uncertainty, Barr and Buchanan believed in the power of liberal education and the value of books in shaping learning and independent thought. Demographic trends favored them. The number of high school graduates was increasing year over year. Federal government support was growing, and there was tremendous appetite for intellectually stimulating coursework. Informed by these trends, Barr and Buchanan doubled down on an all-required interdisciplinary curriculum, which stood in contrast to the elective system that was coming in vogue. Then, termed a new program of instruction, it created an approach that set us apart from other institutions of higher education. It brought the college back from the brink of financial failure, and it has earned it national recognition and support. Holding Barr's position as president now, I feel certain he and Buchanan recognized the gravity of their daring choice and the potential for failure, but also the possibilities it offered to impact the lives of young people. Our pedagogy, our interdisciplinarity, and our promise of an education for all remain at the heart of the college. The content of the program has never been stagnant, and it will continue to change, just as the participants have over time. In 1938, Jacob Klein was the first of several Jewish refugees from Europe to join the faculty. In 1948, St. John's College admitted our first African-American student, Martin Dyer, becoming one of the first private colleges south of the Mason-Dixon line to integrate. Shortly thereafter, the college admitted women as students and appointed them as faculty members. In 1967, we launched the Summer Institute for Teachers, which aimed to reach public school teachers, particularly from urban areas, laying the foundation for the master's curriculum. And for decades, the college has admitted international students, so that today we have students from 6 continents enrolled. Only Antarctica seems beyond our reach. Neither time, nor geography, nor culture lessens the impact of this kind of education, nor the relevant history that led us to where we are today, nor the skill set of respectfully questioning everything, including perhaps most importantly ourselves, especially when we're the most certain of our path and of our righteousness. And yet, if we spend all our time looking backward through the long halls of history, we risk not seeing the world as it is today, not thinking about how we effectively respond to it. We must not fall into this trap. Instead, we must pursue our mission and be as responsive to the needs and demands of our time as Barr, Buchanan, and their successors were to the needs of their own. I now carry the responsibility of charting the course into an unknown and unknowable future, one that will hold pitfalls and challenges, but also great opportunities. Our times and circumstances will force us to confront again difficult questions. Will we have the courage to engage more actively with the world as our predecessors did? Will we live up to our ideals and provide a platform for engagement in some of the major debates of our day? Like you, I worry about how difficult it's become to talk to one another and how hardened our politics have become, both here and abroad. And many of us wonder too if the scale and speed of new technologies, especially AI, might outrun the liberating forces of democracy we so wish to endure and thrive. Remember though, we owe the spread of democratic ideas and the accessibility of the great books in our curriculum to a technological innovation that sparked monumental controversy in the 15th century, the printing press. So these are not new challenges. Still, just as must have been in 1937 when the new program was founded, it can be hard to find hope amongst the trends of our time. And it's easy to wonder if we, as humans, will find our humanity again. And I believe the search starts with 2 things: a dedication to having real conversations, and a commitment to the institutions that fortify society. And they are part of why I chose to be at St. John's College. We need institutions like this one that feed the best in us, help us see the best in each other and in our history, unite us in a common purpose, and help us to talk, learn, and grow together. Now, good institutions also see clearly and learn from their own failings. St. John's College has not always been the most involved neighbor. In fact, there are times in our history we've been downright exclusionary to members of the local community. But we're taking steps to change that. The inauguration is one of many instances of that change. Rather than solely including internal audiences, as we've done in times past, we reached out to welcome all of you here to experience St. John's. And we will continue to do so as we develop deeper, broader, and more authentic ties to the institutions, leaders, lawmakers, and higher education partners whose well-being is inextricably tied to our own. As we confront the more troubling sides of our history that have unfolded on the land we now occupy, and as we reimagine aspects of ourselves. Last month, for example, we welcomed the Annapolis community to our campus's revived Mitchell Art Museum. And here we challenge all who enter to consider the human experience and to let extraordinary art and artists inspire persistent and timely questions. In the museum's first exhibition, called The Open Museum, we've invited visitors to write and draw directly on the walls. The still evolving display unites a variety of unique perspectives cultivated not just around the Johnny table, but across our region. Married with a deep respect for our history, the power of our collective experiences, from the ones represented in the museum exhibition to those we heard in some of today's earlier remarks, enables us to meet contemporary challenges. How will we use our educational model to more effectively help students find a purposeful life and purposeful work? How will we offer broader access to students from diverse backgrounds who will add to the special chemistry of the St. John's College experience? And how will we ensure they succeed here? And of course, as a Johnny would ask, what does success even mean? As we reach new inflection points, I believe we're well positioned to face these and other challenges. We have the brain power, the practice skill of questioning, and the tools to have hard conversations and react to meet the moment, and to push boundaries that sustain and involve our distinctive pursuit of service to our students and our country. In the past year, we've already made some meaningful advances, improving accessibility and augmenting quality of life for our campus community. We celebrated the opening of our new and expanded Student Health and Wellness Center, which is intentionally located in the middle of campus. Student well-being is both the prerequisite and the consequence of learning. So naturally, expanding student support and ensuring they feel safe and ready to learn is a major priority for me and for the college. It is my vision that St. John's College sustains its unique spirit and continues to set itself apart from other institutions of higher learning, and that we keep leaning into our distinctive curriculum while responding to the needs of our time, remaining relevant for the next 100 years and beyond. We must champion an atmosphere where students have a strong sense of belonging and they are set up for success as participants in civic life and the workforce. An environment where we're engendering responsible citizenship and lifelong learning while responding thoughtfully and ethically to the demands of the marketplace. A wellspring of diversity embraced by and encouraged in our student body, staff, faculty, and the program of study. And a place where affordability for our students is always front of mind. We've created great momentum with the tuition reset and the continued generosity of our alumni, friends, and the state of Maryland. Our philanthropic model must be tended to regularly to ensure our financial security and to continue allowing students from all walks of life to experience our world-class education. As the leader of this institution, I am truly privileged to be surrounded by supporters who represent a diverse background of experience. Our board, our tutors, staff, administration, student body, and alumni, each well-versed in addressing challenges present and predicted. My thanks, again, to all of you. Now, there are a few people I want to call out who are very special to me. The first male presidential spouse, my husband, Michael Smith. He is charting his own course in his new role, and I couldn't wish for better counsel. As a practicing lawyer, he's accustomed to reading lengthy writings some may consider unintelligible, which sounds like an essential trait for a St. John's College presidential spouse. And after more than 25 years of marriage, he still surprises me. Without St. John's, I wouldn't have learned of his apparent secret crush on Galileo. Michael is a wonderful father to our children, Venetia and Cordell, who've shaped my life over the last 20+ years. They've taught me a lot, from texting to funky resume formats, from living with a dog and a cat to traveling with less luggage. In short, they've made me a better parent and a better person. I want to also thank my brother-in-law, Nada, who traveled here all the way from Honolulu, and I want to say hello to my sister, who claims she's watching the live stream while homesick in Hawaii. My parents are no longer with us, but I know they would be very proud. And I am delighted to see so many of my friends here today. And I'm deeply touched by the contributions of those who took part in today's ceremony. Your gracious words and performances filled me with a sense of purpose and gratitude for the spirit of this institution, and your confidence in me is deeply humbling. I feel both honored and at home. Now, you know that at St. John's College, we start with a question, but it is time now to end with an exclamation mark. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well done. Well done. Well, thank you very much, Nora, and thank you all for celebrating with us this afternoon. Now we welcome to the stage the St. John's Chorus led by Tudor Kalkavage. And while the chorus sings, the procession will, beginning with President Demleitner, will exit the auditorium. And this is just the end of part one. We have a part two coming. And we're inviting everybody over to Mellon Hall in the lobby for refreshments and a performance by the St. John's College Jazz Coalition. And then if that's not enough, tonight we have the waltz dance going on. And don't forget to stop by Mitchell Art Museum that's open till 9 o'clock. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done.